BORTLE here, back from the LCS 7 event of the online format, the first ever 3v3 team event in history, for the online format at least. So, here we have, back to the channel, not someone new, Christian Thomas topping another LCS event, my goodness. And whoa, we have Paulo here topping as well, with their team of Fala Galera making to the finals. Welcome to the channel,
Yeah.
guys.
What's up, Paulo?
Thank you.
What's up?
What's up?
What made you guys decide to use these decks for this event?
So I played Dino for this event. Pretty much Dino was a deck I really liked because I thought that Dragon Link was still the deck to beat. And I think Dino has a really good matchup against that. So that's the reason I went with Dino.
In my case, I was building this deck for a long time, and it's a really different deck, as you guys will see soon. And I was looking forward to play it somewhere, so this 3v3 was a good opportunity to play that. And I think it had all around good matchups in the meta. Like, I wasn't super favored against anything, but also no one was super favored against me. So I think it was a good choice in the end.
Okay, and overall, how was both of your experience during this 3v3 event? Because I was told that you can only speak with amongst each other in Discord and you have to type to your opponents.
I mean, for us, I think we did it a little bit different than the other teams because we actually weren't in a Discord call together because we thought that it might have been too distracting. So we just rather focused on our games, and then when one person's done, we sometimes wrote about plays on DB, but for the most part, I think we just focused on our matches.
Yeah, it was pretty much that. We didn't talk too much with each other. I mean, my deck was really different, so I had more experience playing my own deck, and I'm not super versed on Dinos or Invoke Dogma. Like, I know how they play, how the basic go, but like not super insightful things that I could say. So we prefer to play our own games. If you were playing the same decks or decks that the other players were comfortable with, maybe that would be more common.
I think Luxury is doing a pretty good job at keeping the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene alive with all the LCSs they're doing. And yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh because the prizes are also just really good.
Oh yes, who doesn't like money? So, why'd y'all lose in the finals?
Well, I didn't lose in the finals. I was 1-0, but then the head judge came in and told me that my other two teammates lost.
Sorry about that.
I didn't win.
Yeah, I did lost, and my game was a complete. I was completely destroyed. I think my was the first one to end, and it was really really quick. I didn't draw really well game one, but I did drew really well game two. When I went first, I opened with Dragoon, Herald, Anti-Spell, Ash, and still got my board broken.
Whoa,
which was
how'd they break that
insane.
board?
He hard drew Punkatrops, which was an issue, and drew Gum as a 6 card.
Oh man.
So that happened, and he hard drew also Miscellaneous and Baby. So it was really specific hand to break that board. That board usually is enough to be Dino. So yeah, that was game two. Game one was more average type of game, but this game two was really one-sided.
Okay, before we start the deck profiles, would you guys like to do some shoutouts?
Yeah, I want to shout out Christian, which is here. We talked a lot about my deck, and I was pretty much working almost alone with this. I want to shout out Christian and Guilherme from Brazil. He's another friend of mine that helped me a lot in this. And since I was pretty much working most of the time alone, there's not many people involved in the process. So Christian and Guilherme was the ones that I talked the most about this. So yeah, that was my shoutouts.
Nice. Well, without further ado, would you like to run us down this deck, Paulo? It looks pretty crazy.
Yeah, it kind of is. So the whole, like, I made a really big profile in my channel. It's in English if someone wants to see a really in-depth one, like 45 minutes long profile. So I will try to keep as short as I can. Pretty much the main thing about this deck is that when I go second against combo, which is Infernal and Dragon Link, I set out all my Eldlich engine and put 12 hand traps. So this type of thing got a lot of people off guard because they side cards for Eldlich, for example, and I don't have Eldlich anymore post side. So it's kind of a smoke screen type of thing, which is not super common in 2020. And my deck became like a Synchro Dragoon type of deck, which has 25 hand traps, which is a lot. So yeah, this is the main thing that happens against combo, which are the most popular decks in the meta. I think it also has a decent matchup overall against the Dino and Invoke Dogma, especially Dogma decks, which Eldlich cards counter really well. So I really like that as well. And that's pretty much it. Like I can talk about specific cards if you need, if there is any question about some specific ratios of cards. But the most important theory points about this deck are those ones. Okay, so I play free lands, free sanguines, free conquistador, one lord and two vaqueros, so 12 cards. So those are the 12 cards that I set out. So I keep this Eldlich source. So you usually want to draw one Eldlich in this deck. They discard for Dragoon, and they are the cards that pressure your opponent after you simplify the game mistake with Dragoon. So this is a really common scenario. Then I play contract as cards that make fiber, right? I go like this: contract, quick launch, and diva. Contract and quick launch are the better ones because they act as a starters and extenders if needed. So they are both one card fibers depending on the situation. Quick launch is the best one because it can also be a chaos ruler, as you guys can see on the extra deck. Chaos ruler is really important because it's the card that combine the engines here, right? It is the card that you can make Chaos Ruler into Anaconda, and also is a card that can randomly find Eldlich traps in the grave, and or get hand traps to your hand. So a really useful card that you can also bring back for OTK, so you can make a ruler, link it away, then bring it back, and try to kill people with that. So I play 3 fusions, which are really good. Like I noticed that I was winning a lot of games that I hard drew the one fusion that I had at first in my deck. So I upped the number, especially now that I was playing Chaos Ruler. So it's more important now that I have multiple fusions, so I can not mill them with the Chaos Ruler and still be able to make a Dragoon, which is by far the most important boss monster in this list. What else? Diva is another important card because it's the only that I'm aware of Stunner that is also a fiber play by itself that don't require bricks. So that's really useful for Diva. And is the weakest link in this deck. Is the card that get hand trapped the most and all that, but still really important. I play 15 hand traps in the main deck, which is a big number. I play 45 cards, but it's a big number. So you can, with some consistency, draw multiples against the combo decks, even game 1. So I play the most generic ones, as you guys can see. I play the light ones because they can be more or less searched by the Chaos Ruler, so Nibiru, Veil, and Ogre. Ash is pretty much mandatory in this type of deck, especially Eldlich, since you can bring Throne deck with Sanguine when you have Lord already. Permanence, I think, is all around good hand trap, so that's why I play those 15. So this is pretty much the main deck. If you had any doubts, I can.
Did a second Eldlich ever come in? Because in most cases, people would just like play 2, 3. Obviously, you're doing something entirely different, but was the one enough?
Yeah, it was like there's not many cards that banish Lord now. I mean, there is like Prison, Call is at 1, Crow is not super popular, especially not against my deck, and I do side out Eldlich cards many times. Lord is a brick in this deck. It's not like before when you had Jet Synchro, and Jet Synchro was a discard outlet for Lord, like a really easy one. And now you don't have this luxury anymore. So since it's kind of a brick, I put on the minimum amount, so I don't see it by drawing it, just by like searching with Sanguine or land if necessary.
Okay, and the 2 targets for quick launch, were that enough?
Yeah, like usually games in Yu-Gi-Oh right now go really, really fast, right? So you have like one turn, your opponent has one turn, maybe you guys had one more turn each, and that's it. So the likelihood of you drawing multiple quick launch by itself is low. Like in this deck, drawing bricks is a little bit better than in the other decks because you can always discard the cards for Dragoon. You always need a discard card for Dragoon. So if your hands like is 4 good cards and 1 brick, it's fine. So I think is more than okay to have that. I remember drawing 2 quick launch at some points in the tournament, but was completely fine.
Okay, would you like to run through the extra deck real quick?
Extra deck, it is 2 fiber Halkefibrax, really important because I do play Celine combo. So one is for the start of the game that you can make the Herald Dragoon play, which is the usually like only fiber alone is Dragoon plus Herald without using any bricks, and I really like that. Herald is the card that I use. Marshall, Chaos Ruler, I already talked about a little bit about that. Cross, Link Spider, really important because it is the card that make available the possibility to play around Nibiru, because you can make the token as a Link Spider and then have any extenders and make Anaconda. So you even kill the Nibiru after that. Link Ariba really important because it plays around a negation fiber when you start with Contract. You can make Link Cross into Link Ariba back and then make Anaconda. So this deck has a lot of ways to try to play single hand traps. Barricade Blocker is good because you can discard, especially Lord sometimes, and make your Eldlich engine more alive depending on the situation. Also can get cards back from grave like Land, Contract, and Boot Sector. And even if they are dead, they are not any interaction with those in your hand. They are kind of live because you have to have something to discard for their room. You have to have something to send from Lord or to bring Lord back. So even an extra card that does nothing in this deck, it does something. So it's really nice that access codes, I think, is mandatory, especially with Selene combo. Selene combo is extra cool in this deck because it also can reborn Dragoon, which is low-key amazing, and people don't know about. And people usually don't know. Like, you go for Selene combo, people have Nibiru in hand, and they go like, okay, I will wait for this access code for Nibiru, and then you bring Dragoon, and then you gain Nibiru, and you still make access code with something else, and you win like that. It's really crazy. Anaconda is, of course, mandatory. BLS, I like it. I like it the fact that this deck has a lot of win conditions, different win conditions, so it's really hard to target this. You can win with Eldlich, we can win with Dragoon plus Herald, we can win with BLS Protect by its own effect, you can win with Selene Access Code combo. You have so many ways to win, and the deck is also fun because the games are not the same. They usually go different. You can play as a combo if you draw a lot of spells. You can play as a control if you open like Reddish Fusion 3-hand traps. You can play as an Eldlich if you open a lot of Eldlich cards. So your games feels different many times. So that's really cool. And Dragoon, of course, and the Striker Dragons are 100% necessary in this deck because of the combo. You need the Striker Dragon. Aside this Gamma is pretty much the best hand trap. I don't main it because I need hand traps that I can use even if I go first, because I have to protect Dragoon a lot. This is also a game plan that happens often, so I have to have hand trap that I can use going first. Uka is really, really nice since I can use the Barrier Statue to stop my opponent's turn when they go fiber. But also it has other targets for other attributes. I have Veiler for light, I have Crow for dark, and I have itself for earth. So if necessary, I can bring another attribute, and I did in this tournament. I think against Jesse, I brought Veiler, and I think against Cody Angeloff, I brought Crow. So yeah, that was cool. I play Phantasme too. Phantasme is nice. There is a lot of hand traps in this deck, so most likely Phantasme will hit something. It's also a body that can attack for Seal, and is half of Anacondas or half of Hawkeye Brax. Also, Diddy Crow, it is a concession for Dino. I put against combo too, but it is more because of Dino. And free Fluid Gates, I really like the Fluid Gates right now. Antispire is really well positioned in this meta game. Is really good against all the combos. It pretty much side design against every single deck this meta. You negate a lot of cards. Many decks has power spells, and people tend to side spell and trap remove against me, like Hop's Feather and what's the name of the other? I forgot. Lightning Storm. Yeah. Lightning Storm, yeah. So they kind of negate those cards too. So yeah, pretty much that's the list. This is the shorter version, which is kind of big, but the big version is in my channel.
Hopefully everyone can check the description down below for a link to that full-length video. My goodness. And I really do like the fact that you're smoke screening in 2020. That's really wild.
Yeah, it's really different. It's not super common. I'm really glad that I built a deck like from scratch in a really difficult meta game like this one. And I think this deck can easily compete with other decks.
In closing, what do you guys think about this event? Like, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, 3v3 is the type of event that brings a lot of players back. Like I never played LCS. This was the first one that I played, and I decided to play because it was a 3v3. I always wanted to play with Christian, which is a player that I always work with decks with. and that was a good opportunity to do that. And there was a lot of good players in this event. Like I played with 4 people that went to Worlds, for example. And this is not a common scenario, even in YCSs. So even though it's like not that many people, it's a lot of people for online tournament, 200 people. Player level is really high. So it's really nice to have this event. So it's a good way to have a competitive environment to play.
I think having friends that you can play with is also pretty nice. Like Paulo said, we pretty much talk for every event, so it was pretty cool to play with him. And then I also know Herman, so it's definitely cool to play with your friends in a tournament like that.
Oh yes, and I think Paulo did somewhat decent in other 3v3 events in real life.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah, and also having the device was really nice.
Yeah, I got the vibes because of GDS.
Oh
We
yes,
got
that's
the
right,
vibes.
UDS champion. My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, thank
That's
you
true.
guys for being a part of this deck profile.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
And listeners, if you're not a part of BORTLE Nation, sub for BORTLE. It's that easy and it's free. Oh God, yes. BORTLE out.